My intention is to give a sermon with gusto today. So if I can't do that, you just have to imagine that. It might be flat today, so just be patient. Gusto will come back next week. I just want to get through it. First of all, congratulations on a great festival. It was great how we all came together with smiles, with enthusiasm, to have our best festival ever. We exceeded our record by a lot, and Gary will tell you how a lot is a lot. I hope that everyone takes some satisfaction from how it turned out. And as I said, we'll get some numbers in the hall afterwards. It's amazing how we all pulled together. Amazing how people came together that don't normally see each other, that don't normally work together, that don't normally spend 3 days together. And we had a great time, and we put on a great event. People have fun at our event. That's why they keep coming back. I ask people, why do you come to this festival? They're like, because it just feels good. The food's great, the people are great, but the spirit is great. Smiles all around, which is great. It's awesome. Congratulations to you guys. You did a great job last weekend. I credit our good fortune to a conversation we had at the parish council a few weeks ago when we were going over the budget, and we were talking about how much we had hoped to raise from the festival. And somebody, not me, said, no matter how much we make at the festival, we're not going to waver from how much we give away to the poor. Even if it rains the whole thing out and it's a total disaster, I want to go on record, before it even starts, to say we're going to do what we committed to do, no matter what. We're just going to trust God. And I credit that statement for God blessing us, because we put Him first. We made a commitment to do something, and we also said if we make a dime over 90,000, which we did, we're going to give 10% of all the leftovers of that to charity. Even if it goes above what we budgeted for charity, we're going to go past that to thank God for what He does for us. My favorite moment, personally, and I hope all of you have a favorite moment from the festival, maybe it was a conversation or a customer or a conversation. My favorite moment of the whole festival was praying with a police officer last Sunday. I asked all the police officers and the firefighters, the fire marshal, the people we have to have here, I asked all of them at some point to come into the church to say a prayer with them. And I don't care if they're church going or not. And I asked this police officer, I said, are you a religious man? He said, no, I'm not at all. And he had never been in our church, that he came in here. Actually, he was in here, and I found him in here. And he said, this is amazing. I drive by this place all the time, and I had no idea what was behind the brick wall. I said, can I pray for you? He said, sure, why not? So I prayed with him, and I offered him some encouragement. And he said, that feels good. That feels good. In fact, he gave me a card with the names of with the addresses of all the police precincts in Tampa Bay, in Tampa City, and he told me which ones were the worst ones. And he said, maybe you should go to one of these at the beginning of roll call, and pray with them and encourage them too, which I'm going to do. This is a specific thing that I can do as a priest. I can go and I can pray with people. I'm not good at making gyros, I'm good at blessing, but I'm asking them. But this is something that I can do. I realize also that I can't convert anybody. The Holy Spirit does that. But I can throw a seed of Christ to anybody. In fact, that's something we can all do. And I don't know if I'll ever see that police officer again. I don't know what he's doing today. Maybe he's in church, maybe he's on patrol, maybe he's home sleeping, I don't know. But I know for a minute there, he felt the joy of Christ. I know that. We will each confront the truth of Christ at some point in our lives. Either this whole thing is true, or it isn't. Everyone sitting in this building right now has at least some belief that it's true, or you wouldn't be here. The truth of Christ comes with joy, and then it comes with work. Maybe we have already discovered the truth and the joy of Christ. Maybe we haven't fully, or maybe we haven't yet at all. But there is a moment in every life where we will confront the truth of Christ. And for some people who have never set their foot in a church or heard of Christ, that moment will come on their deathbed. because they're going to wonder, what now? If you've already arrived at that moment in your life, you already know the joy of Christ. If you haven't fully arrived at this truth, you'd have some joy, but not as much as you could have. And if we haven't fully arrived at this truth, the question is, why not? Some people go through life without Christ. They don't believe or see a need to believe. And I believe that changes when we're about to die, as I said, because we're forced to confront a truth. Either this is the end, or there's something coming after. The man in the gospel today had a truth. His truth was his things. His God was his stuff. He was the master of his soul, because he even addressed his own soul. He complimented his soul. He said, "Soul, we've done good. We've got lots of things stored up for many years. Let's eat and drink and be merry." And God said to him, for the one and only time that Christ said this in the Bible, "You are a fool. You are a fool. Here's your truth. This very night your soul is required of you. You are not the owner of your soul. All those things you have amassed, whose will they be? Because they won't be yours." The Bible doesn't tell us what happened to this man. This is a parable, after all. Christ, through this parable, puts us in the place of this man. At some point, we will all be in the place where our soul is required of us, and all the things we have amassed, whose will they be? We spend our lives trying to acquire riches, but are we rich towards God? And how can we know if we are rich towards God? The answer is a simple word: stewardship. What are we doing, and what did we do with the things we had been given? More specifically, how did we spend our time? How did we use our talent? And what did we do with our treasure? Do we hoard these things? Do we share them generously? Do we go out and try to make a difference with them? Do we reflect Christ in them? You should have received stewardship materials in the mail this week, and every year we face a personal decision. What kind of steward am I going to be? What kind of church do I want to have? And what kind of effort am I going to make to grow in my own joy of the Lord, as well as spread that joy to others? These are the critical questions. What kind of a steward am I going to be? What kind of church do I want to have? What kind of effort am I going to make in my own joy of the Lord, as well as to spread it to the others? And how will I account to the Lord on the night that my soul is required of me? What kind of steward am I going to be? A steward is a temporary caretaker. We are temporary caretakers of everything we have. Our time is temporary, our talents are temporary, and our money is temporary. It's all on loan from God. It's not really ours, it's His. So what are we going to do with what we've got? How much time will we invest in prayer, in reading Scripture, in worship? How much effort will we make to spread the gospel using whatever gifts, whatever means we have? And that includes our talents and our money. Our pledge is personal. That's why we don't have a goal or a thermometer here. And we don't focus on what is the average or the mean or anything like that. Your stewardship is personal to you. And one day, you and I will answer to God for our stewardship. What kind of church do we want to have? Do you believe that this church is going to make a difference in this community for Christ? If you believe that, then you will want to put your money and your effort there. Let me tell you what kind of church we have. And some of these statistics you wouldn't know unless you're the bookkeeper or on the parish council. Because of your stewardship, nearly 400 families call this church their spiritual home. We know that. Because of your stewardship, we have given nearly $30,000 to charitable causes this year. This includes money for hurricane relief in the Bahamas, to rebuild areas that were destroyed by the hurricane a few months ago. We are donating $1,000 that is going toward getting an air conditioner in an orphanage that is being rebuilt in the Bahamas to replace one that is destroyed. I happen to speak to the person who is building this, I told them we're sending a contribution, and they said, please tell your people that your money specifically is going to go to putting an air conditioner there, so that the orphans that have been displaced, that will be in a new orphanage, will be able to breathe and live in the cool air, because it's always hot down there. We have given money to Life Path Hospice, a lot of money. And Life Path Hospice helps people walk the last mile of their lives with dignity and comfort. Some of our own people, and people will never know. We have given money to Love Inc., which helps people in this community get off the streets and get job training. We've given money to Focus, an Orthodox group, which, like Love Inc., helps people get off the streets and get job training. We have given money to Orthodox Christian Prison Ministry to help inmates find the joy of Christ before they are released back into our communities. We've given money to the Orthodox Christian Mission Center, which helps spread the gospel across the world. Because of your stewardship, we have a thriving youth program. And we're not just talking about the money of the stewardship, but the people who step forward to help out with Goya and Sunday school. At our Goya lock-in a couple weeks ago, we had discussions on very serious questions until late in the night. You would be blown away by the things that our teens are dealing with, their own temptations and the temptations of people around them. Our kids, especially our teens, need lots of support and help. Because of your stewardship, we now have 2 pastoral assistants who can minister on a full-time basis to our community, visiting the sick, offering counsel, offering prayer, and teaching. Because of your stewardship, we are able to maintain our sanctuary and the rest of our property. Because of your stewardship, we have a great choir, a large Sunday school, a dynamic parish council, a transparent financial setup, and so many ministries. Because of your stewardship, there is adequate help to make sure the prayer team messages go out on a daily basis to our parish and far beyond it. Over 2,100 people get a message every day from our parish. Because of your stewardship, lives are being changed, marriages are being saved, the grieving are helped, the confused find direction, Christ is being preached, hope is being found, and joy is being restored. When you make an offering of stewardship, all this becomes possible. And when you increase your stewardship, more of this becomes possible. Can you imagine what we can do if we had a second priest on the staff? Can you imagine what would happen if we had a mental health specialist on our staff? Can you imagine what could happen if there was no need for a tenant and we could use our property on a full-time basis? Can you imagine the kind of impact we could have on this community if we doubled what we give to charity? Aren't you tired of reading about tragedies on a daily basis? Haven't we all had enough of violence and shootings and anger and sadness? I would love for our parish to draw a line in the sand and say our church will stand for something. It will stand for peace and for hope and for love. Not just another not-for-profit charity, but as a church that seeks to bring the light of Christ to everyone. Let's stop imagining and let's get busy doing. What kind of effort am I going to make to grow in my own joy of the Lord, as well as to spread that joy to others? Will that effort be the best effort I can make? Offering the best that I have? Offering the first of what I have? Will I take a chance and trust in God? Will I see every good and perfect thing that I have as a blessing from Him? I can't tell you how much joy I get from serving. Yes, it's work, but more than work, it's joy. Honestly, I don't always have joy while I'm working. Sometimes when I work, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of making a mistake when I'm working. Sometimes when I'm working, I get nervous. But when the work is done, I look back with joy. How will I account to the Lord on the night that my soul is required of me? I can account to my own soul. I can tell my soul, we are doing pretty good compared to everyone else. We are pretty good. We've done enough. But we don't answer to our own souls. We answer to the Lord for our souls. The Lord is like the sun. We know the energy of the sun when we go out and we feel its rays, but we don't know the essence of the sun. We can't handle the essence of the sun. We don't preach enough about heaven and hell in our church. One way to look at heaven is like looking at the sun outside. We can't handle that now. It's too bright, too majestic, and too powerful. But what if we could? Heaven will be like a place where we experience the majesty, the kingdom, the power, and the glory of God, and we will love it. Hell, on the other hand, is like coming closer to the sun, but it being so bright, so majestic, that it burns us all over. Those in hell will experience the majesty, the kingdom, the power, and the glory, but it will be so overwhelming, it will hurt. I hope that I'm doing enough so that God will judge my soul in a favorable way. What you do as far as stewardship is important because it answers these 4 important questions that I said earlier. What kind of steward am I going to be? What kind of church do I want to have? What kind of effort am I going to make to grow in my own joy of the Lord, as well as to spread that joy to others? And how will I account to the Lord on the night that my soul is required of me? Most importantly, your stewardship reflects your relationship to the truth of Christ. If this is all true, it will bring joy, and joy will bring a desire to spread the joy. If there is no joy in this, have we discovered the truth? And here's the plain truth, going back to where I started. There are many people like that police officer I met last week who don't know Christ. For a moment, he knew that joy of Christ. What happened on Monday, I don't know, and maybe I'll never know. But on Sunday, I helped show the joy of Christ to him, and he felt good, and I felt good. Your stewardship is an important way we bring the joy of Christ to others, whether we are discovering it in ourselves, in our time, giving it to others with our talent, or enabling others to do it through our treasure. It doesn't matter. Sharing Christ feels good to those who receive him and to those who share him. And sharing Christ starts with your stewardship. I am not a fundraising guru. I've never been into that. I humbly ask that you bring your form here in a few weeks when we have Stewardship Sunday. I humbly ask that you consider increasing what you are giving so that we as a parish can do more. Christ is the hope of the world. We all have the capacity to spread that hope. It's not just the priest. We can all do that. And it starts with a decision to believe, followed by a decision to share. This is what stewardship is. It's a statement of what we believe and our desire to share what we believe. God bless you.